and officially welcoming all of you into the future as well as in the present moment into the Invoking the Vegan Era Masterclass. I've hosted this once before, I've mentioned it before. However, every time I'm hosting this live, it is going to be a little bit different. What can you expect from today? Invoking the Vegan Era, that title came up with this deep, deep wish, which I know we all share, to live in a predominantly, if not fully, vegan world, where the laws of love and compassion are fully applied and in action from humans towards animals and from humans towards planet Earth, our mother, and every being that we share this time on Earth with. So I want to walk you through something very interesting today. As you might be aware, in our vegan community, which, by the way, currently we're around 3% of the global human population, which just not enough if you ask me. Got to get more for the animals. We're about 3% of the global human population by now. And veganism at its core, well, actually, before I share what it is to me at its core, I would love for you to type in the comments in like 1 or 2 sentences what veganism is to you. Because there's always a little bit of like a different approach. Maybe it's more health, maybe it's more animal rights, maybe it's more environmentalism. So what does veganism mean to you personally? Feel free to share that. If you're watching the recording, which might be on YouTube or on another social media platform, feel free to also put it in the comments as if you were here live with us. What does veganism mean to you? As you're typing, I'm going to start sharing what veganism to me in my translation and understanding feels, and then I'll have a look at what you've shared. There's a word called ahimsa. Ahimsa is a Sanskrit word, and it means causing no harm or as little harm as possible. And to me, veganism is a facet, a translation of causing as little harm as possible to other beings, furthermore, ideally including oneself. However, the terminology as it is defined, it came up in the 1960s. I can't remember the guy who named or labeled the word veganism, but it basically just means not consuming or contributing in any animal abuse, shape, or form to the capacity possible, right? So when we're looking at our vegan community and the core of veganism, which is love, compassion, kindness towards animals, what is happening within the community? How are people in the community most of the time treating one another? Plus, how are we treating our pre-vegan peers or our not yet vegan peers? There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of trigger, right? There's a lot of like judgment and a lot of like, I am and you are. So the core of veganism is something so beautiful, so compassionate, so loving. And then the behavior of us vegans, far from it, right? Most of the time. And I do believe that's where the core of us just being 3% at this day and age actually is at. I'm going to share with you something really cool called the Map of Consciousness by Dr. Hawkins in a moment, and it will help us clarify the states of consciousness, the emotional landscape that vegans operate from, and furthermore, how we can shift gears so that we can come from the root foundation of what veganism truly is about. Which brings me to having a look at what you guys wrote about it. So Francis says, animals have a higher consciousness, and so I feel we should be honoring them, and mastery is about doing no harm, I reckon. I agree. By the way, if you agree, you can do this one here, jazz hands. You used to do that often, like if something resonates or you agree, just give us some jazz hands. Yeah. Linda says, my philosophy, a lifestyle for the animal's health and the planet. Absolutely. Something very holistic, right? The deeper we dive in, the more we realize, oh, it's also good for this. Oh, this is also a benefit. Oh, that makes sense as well. So that's my experience, and that reflects in your statement, Linda. Stefan says veganism is caring for all living beings, spiritual outlook, and to spread as much happiness in the world as possible. Absolutely subscribe to that. Will says, to me, veganism means respecting consent. Good one, the word consent. Very, very good word. Thanks for putting that in there. Aman says, a lifestyle governed by the thought of animal welfare. I agree to that as well. And to me, veganism is about the non-human people, and only them we share this planet with. They are not here for us to use in any way, shape, or form. Exactly. Exactly. So all of your statements, right, they kind of reflect what we're talking about: love, compassion, care. So let's have a look where our vegan community took a little bit of a wrong turn there. And there's going to be a lot of examples that you and I are going to bring up that you can relate to. So let me pull up the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. To give you some insight on this, Dr. David Hawkins, his life's work has been to research the human emotions. He's a psychologist as well, and amongst that, many things, a very, very wise speaker. And what he did, he gave us a really, really powerful tool. He gave us the map of consciousness, which looks like this. Oh, computer is loading. There we go. That's the map of consciousness. Now, don't be overwhelmed. We're going to go through it step by step. And if any questions come up, you can ask in the chat. First, I want to pull your attention to the midsection of the map. On the left, we have level. On the right, we have scale. The scale is a simple number he came up with to put the levels of consciousness on a number scale. It's unrelated to frequencies or anything as such. It's just a simple number. Level, I see somebody else is joining in, so I'm just going to allow that a moment. Oh, and there is someone else joining in, welcoming you along the way. I'm just going to ask everyone joining in right now to mute yourself so we don't have any audio disturbance and just tune in. So on the left side, you see level, right? You see this big fat red line in the middle, and I want to pull your attention to everything below the red line. We have a set of words there. We have, I want to close this little window here, but I don't know how to do it. Just like little tiny, yeah, it blocks the lower two ones, which are shame and guilt. I'm good. Shame and guilt, the two lower ones. I don't know how to remove this little window here. Above that, we have apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. Those are the lower states of consciousness. If you look all the way to the left of the map, you see the word force, and all the way to the right, you see the word weak. On the bottom right, bottom left, you see these two words. The lower states of consciousness, when you reflect on yourself and you reflect on the moments that you felt these lower states, you were maybe desiring something, maybe you were in fear, paralyzed, or fight, flight, freeze activated in your system. It never really feels good. It never really feels good unless we start riding on the waves of pride and we're better than the other person, or we're utilizing our anger as a force to push forward, because anger has more energy, as you can see here, than apathy, guilt, or shame. So what happened when you turned vegan? Obviously, you went up to the states, courage. You demonstrated courage. You had to embrace the willingness to make a change. You had to accept all of the rejection that possibly came with it. You had to activate love and reason in order to understand what veganism is about. So you turning vegan is based on the upper states of consciousness, the upper levels of consciousness, which you can see on all the way on the left side and all the way on the right side of the map. It says strong and power. This is where true change, true strength comes from. Now, if you're going back to the moment when you became vegan, And you start observing how you behaved when you went to, let's say, a demonstration event or an outreach event, or you just had conversations with friends and family, for example. Were you still operating from these states that made you go vegan? Or were you in the desire to make them go vegan fast now? Were you in the pride somewhere of, I'm vegan and you're not? And these are just very subtle voices in your head that then start translating towards your body language, towards your behaviors, towards the words that you choose. It's very psychological. Pretty cool, huh? Or you were in the fear that the world never would go vegan, that still so many animals would die. You would grieve. You would constantly grieve. I'm not saying that these states aren't welcome. They happen. Because if we look at what happens to animals, it just pulls us there, and that's okay. However, those are states of consciousness linked to emotions, which we have a look at right now. If you look over to the right side here, you see emotion and process. I'm going to pull your attention to emotion. Have a look at the emotions of the red ones: regret, despair, blame, humiliation. How often do we blame others for not being vegan? Which basically means we are guilty. We feel guilty that we can't do more, for example. Did it ever work, blaming somebody to become vegan? In my experience, not. Tell me if in yours, that would be a miracle. In my experience, it never worked. Same with desire. I am craving. It's more about me. It's my desire to make the world vegan. And it's not that it's good or bad. It's a very thin line here. It's a very thin line that's happening, right? Your core intent is to bring more love to the world. However, you operate from a lower state of consciousness towards pre-vegans and sometimes also towards your vegan peers. How much vegan infighting is happening? Like, you go on social media and you see vegans tearing each other apart, spending hours and hours of their lifetime focusing their attention on telling another vegan that they think they know better. You know, all pride and anger. This is not going to change the world. It's not going to make the world go vegan. And this is where the title Invoking the Vegan Era comes in. It's invoking your rise in the state of consciousness up the scale to those higher levels and starting to operate from those, which in other words requires you to do deeper inner emotional work. It requires you to have a closer look very honestly at, where do my behaviors come from? Huh? Tricky one. Very interesting though. So let me go back up. On the left side, we have two views that are also interesting to help you identify the states of consciousness, the level of consciousness that you are in. We have the life view and we have the God view. God, I want to translate for everyone, regardless of religion, doesn't matter. You can translate the word God into the universe, the highest form of creation, or into any religious figure that you pray and devote to. It doesn't matter. We're speaking about the source of all creation here. God also can mean generation, order, destruction, by the way. It's a really nice way for more scientific people to interpret the word God. The God view explains how we view the highest form or the highest shape of all creation. For example, in desire, when we're in desire, I want, I crave, I need, I seek, we're denying that there's a higher power at work because we think we are fully in charge of everything. It's our desire to change. It's a very driving force. Much more than shame, of course. When you're feeling ashamed, you can't do anything, right? You just want to cuddle up in bed, snuggle all day, feeling depressed, feeling miserable. In the life view, column, you see miserable, despising God. Like, why would God allow? Who has thought that? Like, let's be honest. Who has had the thought of, why would God allow this to happen if he wanted a world of peace, right? Big question. We can lean into that as well if you want to. The right side, again, you have the emotion. and you have the process that is happening in action, the action that you're demonstrating based on the level of consciousness. So fear, for example, starts becoming withdrawal. Anger obviously becomes aggression. Guilt, for example, becomes destruction. You start destroying things. So if we take this map, and this is something that I would love for all of you, to take away from this session today. I'll make sure you have this map. You'll have the recording as well. You can use this as a filter. And you can literally place this map on every scenario, any thought, any pattern, any behavior, and you can have a look at, oh, where does this link to? Where does this come from? Where am I at in this scenario, in this behavior, in this relationship from the levels of consciousness? I just want to ask into the round, been sharing a lot on this. Is there any question that comes up, or anything you want to share in terms of you recognize right now, light bulb, ding, light bulb, like, oh, I've actually been working in my advocacy and my life's mission to serve and support animals, oftentimes from the desire, like I need to change, and like this forceful energy of like, if I don't do anything right now, nothing's going to change. Or maybe you've recognized that you've been holding on to so much grief and you don't really have the right tools to process that grief, that you can't actually have a reasonable, you see the level of consciousness, reason, a reasonable conversation with a pre-vegan. What can we do with the numbers we add up from the table? You mean the scale? They're not that important. They're just because he also wrote a book, and in that book he refers to, or he wrote multiple books. He refers to the states in numbers. So they're just an orientation point, right? Does that answer your question, Stefan? I hope it does. Another great example, by the way, which I always love to bring up in this class, when we have a look at vegan activists that have made big time impact, that inspire us, that inspire you, please put their names in the chat box now. Who's like one of your vegan role models? Like one of mine, for example, which I think really has big impact and is creating ripples, Earthling Ed Winters, right? He wrote the book Vegan Propaganda. He has been on campuses arguing and debating with students and like very, wise, smart people, and he has kind of like outsmarted them. So where does he operate from? Obviously, there's a little pinch of, like that desire. You can feel it sometimes, but his predominant state is reason. He always comes in with reason and very calm, without aggression. He pitches and he shares very reasonable facts. Yeah, watch Earthling Ed on YouTube frequently. Yeah, me too. I see him popping up my social media feed a lot. I see Francis says the urgency is a motivating force, which does sort of deny there's a higher power. How to not let go of all of it? Yeah, it's this dance, right? Of how much do I engage, how much do I come in, and more importantly, when I come in as an activist, and I go into a debate, the street outreach, demonstrations, and I go for it, right? Or just on the dinner table, you're ordering a salad, and somebody is ordering something not really vegan. If you're at a non-vegan restaurant with not vegan or pre-vegans, the conversation comes up, right? Like, it just does. And everybody says we started, but usually we don't. It just comes up. So what's happening there? We either are braced to be engaged from a place of love, reason, acceptance, and neutrality, because the energy of the higher levels of consciousness in a conversation, they make the other person feel safe, they make the other person feel understood, they make the other person feel like they are heard, seen, and experienced. And that's where new belief creation can happen. Because if the other person is feeling judged, is feeling overwhelmed, is feeling attacked, Their mind's going to shut down. Whatever you say, they're not going to hear it. That's why so many of our family members, even though we keep telling them and we keep telling them, they didn't make that pivot, right? Because we didn't come from that place of loving kindness. We came from that desire and trying, pushing. And see, I saw Earthling at 2 weeks ago, and he was fantastic and such a support to the thousands of people listening to him. He is amazing. I love that you saw him. Ashara Prashant, Arvid Animal Activist. I need to translate. Arvind. I'm not sure I need to. Oh, of course. Sorry, that was the answer to who. Okay, I haven't heard of him. I'll look him up. But as you know him, Aman, and I see Anita Kranjk, Ed Winters, Joey Carpstrong, I mention him quite often too. Huh? So, and Deepak says, whatever you feel attached to will never happen, or it will just take a longer time. Okay. I'm just going to close the map for a moment. I might open it up a little later again. So, actually, I need to open it again, sorry, because you need to have your eyes on it as we do the following exercise. If you look at those activists that you put in the comments right now and that you feel inspired, have a look at like where do they predominantly operate from. If I look at Joey Carpstrong, for example, which I do know quite well, I've met him once. Well, I do know him quite well. I just know how he shows up, let's say, right? And he has this dance, and he comes from like, anger. Like he's been holding a lot of anger in his body. He's done a lot of work on him. So when he comes in now, there is so much reason. He's quite sharp with it, but he's just like reason. He's delivering reason. And that works really well. That's why he's known. Same with whoever you think of. Put it in the comments. Like, what state or what level of consciousness are those people in, would you think? Where would they operate from? What is their type of convincing people? Some people, which has become much more my approach, is I translate from the consciousness of love. So I come in and I share with people, if you want to embody love towards yourself, there needs to be an application of that. And I go to reason for a moment, right? And I explain, if you apply love to animals, how would that look like? Obviously, they're going to end up with probably not eating them, not stealing from them, not contributing to their harm, right? I see Aman says enlightenment and peace. Yeah, a lot of people also come from peace. They're advocates of peace. So they start translating for people, veganism is married to peace. The misconception that it is not comes from the energy that activists hold when they advocate from the lower states of consciousness. And that's why we're not a vegan world yet. Makes sense, right? We have an image issue. Big one. We have an image issue. And we need to fix that. And we cannot fix that by keep pushing and keep forcing. I'm not saying don't go to demonstrations. I'm not saying don't do outreach. Outreach is amazing. I'm saying get your ass into doing this work, into recognizing your lower states of consciousness. And then there's formulas, there's practices to release those. We're going to do one together in a moment, a meditation that connects you to your highest change maker spirit, which sounds quite spiritual, but it can mean, like your most empowered activist self. Deepak says oneness is the way. Francis says, I want every to just care, not to have to reason with them. My mom always said, don't care was made to care. Oh, that's amazing. Don't care was made to care. So I took that on board and started to pay attention to those around me. Why doesn't everyone do it? And it has such a feel-good factor and affinity then too. Yeah. So this is why I want to share this with you. And furthermore, this is why I've built, together with a loving, amazing team, the Freedom Quest platform. if you haven't hooked into the Freedom Quest yet, it's time, honey, because that's where you're learning more about this. That's where you're getting lessons. We have like a set of courses to teach this, and then furthermore, amplified skills such as public speaking, such as videography, if you prefer to be behind the camera, to have people see more of the vegan message. We have a course on handling objections, just to have like a foundational piece of wisdom. We have a course coming up on vegan blogging if you're like a writer and you're more active on the social media platforms. So there's like a whole community waiting you, plus these really powerful courses that help you uplift your impact. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share the links to that briefly with you here in the comments. And I'm going to be very honest and transparent about this platform. I started building this platform alone, and then I had to attract a team to support me, both, like with inspiration and with actively engaging. You can learn more about the quest itself with the first link. It's the homepage. We do have a free ebook, which gives you a little more insight into this kind of work, but also more insights into how you can truly awaken to your vegan hero self. The ebook is called Awaken Vegan Hero. And if you want to support yourself, the vegan community, and also us, you can become a member. The membership it's very affordable. We decided to make it a low price that every vegan, regardless of their circumstances, can make it to show up. It's $17 a month, and 10% of that is directly donated to animal welfare causes, which every month we pick a different sanctuary or a different organization to donate to. We just started out this community. We don't have that many members yet, so I would love to invite all of you, if it's in your capacity and in your interest, to join us, because this will grow into a big community. It's just a question of, did it hook in yet that this is the foundational work the vegan community needs to do, that we all need to do in order to rise up into a vegan world and to invoke the vegan era, because it has to come. It's either that, or it's a continuation and a downward spiral of more pain and more sadness. And I don't really want to live in that world. And neither do you. I know that. Nobody does. So if this inspires you and you feel like you want to learn more about this, go ahead, click the freedomquest.com, or go straight to the checkout cart and sign yourself up, become a member, and dive into whichever course speaks most to you. Is there any other questions that have been arising on the map of consciousness for now? By the way, there's like an in-depth module on the map of consciousness inside of the Freedom Quest platform as well. I have a course that's called Mental and Emotional Well-Being, and there one of the modules is about this. There's another module about to be released about breath work. There's one about meditation. There's one about mindful movement medicine. A lot of cool stuff, just only cool stuff. So get yourself in there. We await you. All right. If no other questions do arise, I would love to transition to the meditation part of this this session today. I'm going to give you a little bit of a disclaimer and a little bit of introduction information for the meditation. Hello, Nancy, by the way. You did miss the first part, which you can have a look at in recorded version. It was super interesting, wasn't it? Yeah. And I really love this stuff, Like, people might get to know me as a quite spiritual practitioner, but there's the science behind it. Like, science is the modern language of spirituality. So I'm really into that. So in preparation for the meditation part, I want you to know that this meditation, it's based on a 5-step formula that you can also learn inside of the courses of the Freedom Quest. It's a formula that comes from super cool guy. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. You might have heard of him, you might not. He's teaching a scientific understanding approach to meditation. And it's a formula. I'm not going to explain it. I would just love for you to experience it. It utilizes creativity, it utilizes envisioning certain things. Obviously, you'll be invited to close your eyes and get yourself into a comfortable position. You can even lay down for this practice if you want to. That's also available. And I will be pulling up the meditation, which, by the way, after practicing this, it's an audio file, which I am making available to all of you as well for free to just keep practicing any moment. I know some of you already have practiced it. If you do need to use the bathroom, by the way, before we get started, feel free to do so. Linda says you have to go. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining in. Yeah, if anybody doesn't feel like you want to experience this meditation, that's fine as well. You're here on your own will. However, it's pretty beautiful. So I invite you to stay around. So if you are ready, you can close your eyes. Pull your attention a little bit inwards. Let everything around you become a little less important for the next 20 minutes. And just allow this meditation to take you.
It's time to take a moment for yourself. Sit down. Feel those seat bones on the ground beneath you. Straighten your spine, top of the head, shooting up like an arrow into the sky. And feel your thighs, your buttocks grounding into the floor beneath you. Use these next couple of minutes to really arrive right here, right now. We'll take a couple of slow in and exhales together to help you do that. Exhale all the air out of your body now. Inhale slow and deep through your nose. And exhale, let it go through your mouth. Inhale slow and deep through your nose. And exhale, let it go through your mouth. One more time, deep and slow through your nose in. And through your mouth out. Keep going in this slow pace and observe how your mind starts calming down with every breath you take. Allow yourself to just sink into your body, letting all the thoughts that occupy your mind float away as if you would be surrounded by an infinite ocean. And every thought is a piece of wood or dirt floating through the ocean, coming closer to you and floating away from you again. Just be. As you are sinking deeper into relaxation, I invite you to surrender into the vision of floating in an infinite ocean even more. It's possible for you to breathe underwater in this scenario, so just allow yourself to be there and inhale and exhale. As you're sinking into the infinite depth of the ocean, observe how your surroundings change from light luminous blue to a more saturated and dark tone of blue. Sink deeper, surrender more, and soften, knowing you're safe, held and supported by the infinite ocean around you. As you sank all the way to the depths of the ocean floor, the dark blue turned into a black. Everything around you fainted into an infinite darkness. And allow yourself right now, with the next breath, to dissolve into the infinite space. Inhale. Exhale, dissolve your feet. Inhale. Exhale, dissolve your legs. Just let them become nothing. Inhale. Exhale and let go of your hips, your lower belly. Let them dissolve into the infinite darkness. Inhale. Exhale, let go of your torso from your belly all the way up to your shoulders and chest. Let it dissolve. Inhale. And exhale, let go of your arms, your hands. Just let them dissolve into nothing. Inhale. And lastly, as you exhale, allow your neck, your head, and your face to dissolve into the infinite nothingness. Just let your whole body go. Let it go. We don't need it where we're going. Now, with the power of your imagination, this creative force, I invite you to picture yourself in a scenario. Use your inner artist to paint a landscape that represents your most empowered, your most inspired, and your most impactful self. Let that painting be painted and observe how these surroundings take shape with you in it as the hero of the story. Take these next moments to let this scenario, this artwork, develop and evolve, and observe yourself as your most impactful, your most empowered, and your most inspiring self. Keep your attention and awareness on this scenario. As the scenario plays out, as the movie plays in front of your inner eye, allow the feelings that this version of you experiences to be felt by you right now. Identify how this hero of the story feels. And as you know those feelings yourself, allow you to experience them right now. Come on, feel those feelings. Inhale them. And with your exhale, let them spread throughout your whole body. What feelings does your greatest version, your hero self, experience? This is you making contact with the change maker spirit that's living inside of you all the time. So get in touch with that spirit and let yourself feel the spirit move through you. What emotions does it leave in your being? And what energy do those feelings vibrate outwards? Come on, feel them. Inhale them. And spread them through your being and all around your being into the infinite space. The longer you stay in touch with that changemaker spirit, the longer you allow yourself to feel those feelings as if they were your reality, always. The more you stay right there, the more you let that spirit integrate into your being, allowing you to become confident, empowered, unshakable, and a true change maker just a little longer. Keep your attention on those feelings. Let them vibrate through your body. No distraction, full focus. Imagine these feelings vibrating through infinity as you generate and experience them right now. Time to let the energy flow and to come back to a calmer and more grounded state of being. Take the next in and exhales. Consciously slow them down. And as you do, allow your body to slowly reappear and manifest itself in the infinite space of that vast, dark ocean. As your body is taking shape again, as you are re-inhabiting your physical vessel, I invite you to always remember the feeling you generate. Your inner world is directly connected to the feeling you vibrate into the outer world. After this immersion, this meditation, I invite you to observe how the feeling you have towards your loved ones, your close ones, your friends, your family, changes. And also I invite you to observe how the feeling you're experiencing as you're connecting to your change-maker spirit is available to you everywhere and anytime. With your next breath, invite you to slowly open your eyes again. Welcome yourself back into the physical realm. Have a look around yourself. Have a look at the body. And with a gesture, placing your hands on your heart, allow yourself to shortly express gratitude for immersing in this meditation practice.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, I love this one. Nice, powerful little charger, right? If you feel like it and you want to unmute yourself to share how that was for you, it's challenging or beautiful, feel free to do so. See, Francis said, magic. The audio seemed to be a little bit choppy sometimes. Might have been the internet connection. I've moved to a place with super powerful internet for a couple of weeks, so that should be all right. Feeling is the secret, Deepak says. Indeed. Indeed, feeling is the secret. Absolutely.
I found that it was amazing. I think I've done this practice before. That's kind of started a whole thing in my life.
You're not
And I just
group.
show gratitude, show motivation, and more clarity.
So what more clarity I hear. Yeah. Yeah, you practiced this one before, right? And I've been doing this type of meditation for about 3.5 years now. I can tell you, like every time I embrace it and I practice it again, which is pretty much on a daily, it feels different. It's always a little different, sometimes more challenging, sometimes more easy, sometimes really clear with the vision of like the higher self, the change maker spirit, sometimes a little foggy, and just really helps, to set a North Star for yourself and to anchor that into the subconscious mind so that you move towards it. It felt really nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's very sweet, right? It's very empowering, but also very soft and sweet. Yeah.
I had
Well,
a good experience because the last time the first time I slept through it, and that was amazing, because all the consciousness conversation from before was kind of assimilated. But then the next time I did it, I had this sense of leadership, that as a change maker, I was kind of able to lead kind of from behind, in a sense, just by living the way I live. And I've never had that sense before. So it was nice. And then today I had a really nice experience of being able to accept a response, because I do a lot of advocacy, like I'm firing things out like they're going out of fashion. And I'd got very used to not getting any response from anyone, or on any level, and just sort of like almost started to be grateful if I didn't get some sort of penalizing or attack for even putting pen to paper, let alone a response saying. And so in that experience, I found myself experiencing, getting the letters back that say, yes, you're absolutely right. Here's the compensation that we're going to redirect from this horrible atrocity to this lovely project. And here's what we're going to do. Just imagining what that would be like. And it was like, oh, lovely experience.
thank you so much for sharing that. And what I'm thinking of immediately is this formula or this type. It activates the law of attraction. It's aligned with the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically utilizing a whole different law than just, being physically engaged and showing up in physical form to start attracting this deep heart seeking of love and peace. So that's kind of like, when you're going so much into it that it almost feels like a reality. That's when your body then programs the information as a possible reality and you start automatically moving towards it. It's really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Truly. Well, thank you. And I see. Oh, Aman just left. I wanted to ask him as well. I would love to ask Will, Nancy, Deepak, and I do have to ask how to pronounce your name again. Shh. Well, it says vegan, but like.
It's sonnet, S-O-N-I-T, sonnet.
Thank you, Ken. And
Like Shakespeare.
Yeah, a little bit spelt differently, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
where my mother actually got the inspiration to name me, because she was a big Shakespeare fan. Okay.
Beautiful.
Truly. Truly. Well, I see Nancy unmuted herself, so I would love to ask Nancy and then also you, Sonnet, how it was. But Nancy, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, but I'm getting ready. I'm actually just driving to work. So while you were enjoying that lovely meditation, I was listening to it. It was very calming, but I wasn't doing it. I've been just getting ready. I just took off. So thanks, Solva. Thank you. But it was very nice to listen to. It was very calming. Thanks.
Yeah, that's so fun because sometimes I do the same thing, right? I just put a meditation in the background and I kind of like let it work on me for a little bit. And when I work, for example, and I just let that be there because it transmits that energy. And when you've done it before, it's easier because it kind of reactivates these visions that you might have had. So for you, I would love for you, I'll the meditation itself is available. I'll share the link on my Mixcloud. There's many more on there that you can go wild with, but this is the 20-minute change maker meditation. I'll share the link in here. Like open it, save it, however you do that, or message me later if you want to have it again. There's a lot of breathwork meditation practices on there. Some are very intense. So if you do them, maybe ask me first, or just take a good moment of time to not be distracted by anyone. Sweet. Sonnet, how was it for you?
No, it felt really nice, relaxed, and with your instructions, following them, and yeah, it was a great, really nice experience. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
embracing it. Yeah. How was it for you, Deepak or Will?
Hey June, hey everyone. So it was good. It's hard for me. Like as Dr. Joe says as well, you have to keep doing the practice. It's hard for me to visualize. Lots of times I just feel blank really. So the only vision I really got really just like uh, of a feeling of being one with everything, and coming from that, like I'm a big fan of Dr. Neville Goddard. Everyone should check his work out, and really to come from that place of the vision already achieved. Yeah, like it's called the law of assumption. So I would like to continue doing this practice, and I'm sure the vision will get clearer and clearer as I keep doing it. Thank you so much, June, for leading this.
And thank you, Deepak. For those of you that don't know, Deepak has been with the team of building the Freedom Quest for quite some time, and he's supported in many ways, huh? So thank you. Thank you. How about you, Will, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, sure. I was confronting a lot of difficult parts of myself, lot of actions and thoughts came up that were quite challenging that I've done in the past, and I was just kind of accepting them. Really good. Thank you.
That's the gateway, right? You dissolve these challenges by tuning into the level of consciousness of acceptance, neutrality. That's kind of the approach. Instead of confronting them, fighting against them, you go that way, and then you just solve it from the upside down. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. Well, we're going to close this class. Very grateful that you all showed up. Thank you so much. I do hope that, I'll put the recording up on social media. Please feel free to share it, to spread it. Some of you might join our Freedom Quest community. That would be amazing. We're really pushing to get it to more people. So feel free to share it if you can and want to sign up yourself as well. I've shared the links earlier, right? And what else was there to share?
Did you see my, sorry, June, did you see my message? Because my voice broke up, I think, so.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I'll read it out. Thank you. I've done this previously, and this time it is more powerful and detailed, the meditation. I just wanted to express my gratitude for you and having these master classes, as it's changed my life. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, well said.
Ooh, I'm a little emotional. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'll stop the recording and close this masterclass, and once that is done,